Hey guys, and welcome to a glorious clan war. I'm a rubber duck of war, but today we're going to be showcasing a bucket tons of games from the latest clan war between AIMA and Sons of the Mountain. I believe it's kind of AIMA and Friends and Sons of the Mountain and Friends as they bounce together, but it's certainly going to be an absolute blast. This is going to be part one. There's going to be 2 parts overall because we have 15 games to get through, and it's a rather unique format. It's not the standard way of playing the game of doing, a load of 1v1s or a load of 1v1s, 2v2s, and 3v3s. No, sorry, we're doing a massive epic scale war, and I'm really excited to delve into it. So before we do, let's quickly pop up the rules for you guys so we can explain a little bit. But here we go. Here's a nice little diagram to explain exactly what's going on. You can see both forces have these glorious troops in the center. Hopefully you can see that on your screen. And for example, you have Human Boy taking on Baltimore on the right hand side. Now if Human Boy wins, he'll be able to advance closer into the enemy battle line and eventually try to get all the way to the 2 kings. The kings shall be Dilatron leading a force led by Archaon, and Grombrindle leading a mighty throng led by Thorgrim. These 2 armies at the end are an ultra fun, so you want to get as many of your troops through the enemy ranks as possible so you can start attacking at this big ultra funds army. The little bit of a twist, I suppose, for the ultra funds forces is that if they lose models in any fight, say on the right hand side, Sons of the Mountain start to dominate and they start to push through, and Human Boy chucks his forces at him, and then afterwards Logic chucks his forces at him. If Dilatron loses troops, if they shatter, he cannot use them in the next battle. So basically, big fat fight, big gigantic armies at the end for either faction, which you have to slowly chip down. We'll explain more as we go because that was a bit of a messy explanation, but we'll take it. But let's delve in and see some awesome battles. We're going to do the standard scoreboard for now, just so you guys get to see, exactly what's going. Yo, what's up, Dame Casper for Poland, Revnows as well, Mr. Grombrindle and CJ. Hope you guys are all good today. It's going to be good fun. We are doing a stream. This is going to be one of my last Warhammer 2 streams. Not the last one, though. We will be streaming at the second part of this clan war next week. And then probably the week after, there was a content creators tournament between the Western and Eastern community, the Western and Chinese communities. So we might be streaming that as well, hopefully on the build up to Warhammer 3 before we, fully move over to that game. But I'm doing some Warhammer 3 streams and all that good stuff next week as well. So it's about to get pretty crazy, guys. It's going to be pretty crazy. I'm actually playing live on Turin's channel tomorrow in a Total Warhammer 3 tournament, which is going to be insane. I'm against Anticity, though, so if you want to see me get dumpstered, feel free to pop over and come watch that. But let's delve into this. So up first, we do have Human Boy, yes, working as a mercenary for the clan Sons of the Mountain, which is kind of interesting that Human Boy is playing for Sons of the Mountain when he's clearly a Skaven main, and Sons of the Mountain are Dwarven folk. So interesting choice there. Maybe he's a traitor amongst their midst. Against Lord Baltimore, though, who's a very talented player, coming in with some Dwarfs versus Dark Elves action. So let's delve right into this. Logic was replaced. No worries, because he couldn't make it. That's okay. That is okay, but you get the general gist. So these guys are going to clash. Whoever is victorious continues to move on and slowly steamrolls their way towards the enemy general. And when you get to the enemy general, it's got this gigantic ultra funds army, and you have to chip it down. I'm loving Human Boy's build. Human Boy is an absolute chad for this build. This is some beautiful stuff. We have double flame cannon. Oh, hell yeah. This is about as rock and roll as you can get with the Dowie. So double flame cannon in the back, supporting double cannon. But no one cares about them when there's 2 flame cannons on the battlefield. Load of Dwarf Warriors holding it down in the rear just to help protect. No Slayers, interestingly enough. We then have Miners with Blasting Charges making up the main battle formation in the front. I like the formation as well. It's kind of spaghetti lined all the way along to make it quite hard for big wind spells to impede them too much. Dwarf Warriors and Grey Weapons make up the 2nd Battalion. We have more Dwarf Warriors in the center, as well as some Crawlers. So pretty cheap units in general, and going really all in on the artillery. You can certainly see Human Boy likes to play as Skaven because he's playing the Dwarves as if they are Skaven, even coming in with the quote-unquote double assassin with the 2 Thanes, and then Belagar Einhammer with a Revenge Incarnate. Been a bit of a big fan of Belagar in recent times. There's a replay coming out, which will be come out probably after this live stream, actually, and it features Belagar, and it is quite a scrap between the Warriors of Chaos and the Mighty Dwarves. So he's really pumped up to be here. He's waving his hammer and shield into the skies, cheering on the lads and getting ready for battle. For the forces of the Dark Elves, they have a load of bleak swords, rather unhappy, but they are at least cheap, going all the way along the front line, with some witch elves on the flanks. Big fan of this. They enable them to carve through slayers who are normally in the enemy rear, or you overload the weakened flanks and try to crush in and surround the Dowie in that way. We have Sisters of Slaughter as well, just behind them. A bucket ton of Dark Shards. Dark Shards with their AP, very, very cost effective against the Dwarfs. And triple bolt thrower. Now, the triple bolt thrower is going to be pretty interesting here. They have enough range to easily deal the flame cannons, but they've got to deal those double nasty cannons first. We have some harpies up in the skies, one on either flank, and then Lokir Fellheart down on the low ground, coming in, of course, with the mighty. Does he have the Kraken helm on him? He better do. It looks like he does. Damn right. He's got the Quacken helm on him. He's coming in with Dreaded Duelist and the Deadly Onslaught. So who is your money on, lads? Let me know as the battle does commence. The first battle between Sons of the Mountains and AIMA in this epic war. Let's do this. Human Boy playing for Sons of the Mountains. Looks like someone let the rat in. Exactly. Human Boy is a dwarf player. You can try and convince me. You can try and convince me. Go past me. I will not go past you, Nerface. I will say hello to you. I will indeed. And what's up, Nafis? Hope you're all good today. So let's get this battle underway. Now, the Dwarves, again, nice and aggressive. The Miners wanting to take the fight directly to the enemy. Seeing there's not that much enemy kind of skirmish cav that can threaten the back line, you can commit the majority of your force right up into the face of the enemy and just keep these Dwarf warriors at the back. I really love this play off the rip. Cannons are focusing down Lokir Fellheart, and you know, you may be the dreaded duelist. It's kind of hard to duel a cannonball. I've tried it myself, and it doesn't often tend to go well. So Lokir is going to be taking considerable damage. The Miners are just eviscerating the enemy front line. The bleak swords getting demolished, which is to be expected here. The Double Fane and Belagar moving in. They've set their sights on Lokir Fellheart, want to ambush him and clubber his skull if at all possible. Harpies are diving down on the flame cannon. A lovely little bit of crossfire from the allied flame cannon, though, does massive damage, and it's going to be able to break them off. And it seems like the cannon has been, all of them kind of kept alive here. On the other side, more Harpies are being a pain in the butt. Miners did a decent job up against the bleak swords, but now the witch elves are well and truly among them, and the witch elves have enough kind of agile strength with their daggers to poke holes in the dwarvish armor and to really do some good work. We can also see in the main fight, Lokir Fellheart has certainly turned the tide against the Miners. Double Fane and Belagar coming in should be able to do some decent work up against Lokir, though he is vastly outnumbered at the moment. Sisters of Slaughter are certainly slaughtering some Miners with blasting charges. They've got their whips on them, and they're just destroying these poor Miners. Poor lads. They've done a decent job up against the front line. When it gets down to the nitty-gritty of it, they do tend to struggle. Dark Shards have been kept at bay quite far back from the main fight, and that is due to the good early push coming in from the Dwarves. Flame Cannons just doing crossfire right now, trying to clear off the Harpies, and they do have that really nice -2 leadership, the discourage effect coming down, helping to break off the enemy formations. Flame Cannon crew need to get back on their artillery pieces and start dealing with the Dark Shards in the distance, because the Dark Shards going to be very, very problematic if all of the Dowie infantry has been dealt with before they even emerge in the fight. Dwarf warriors up against bleak swords, going pretty ham against each other, doing a decent job. Those axes are starting to carve their way through the elvish armor. And in the main fight, though, it's not looking so good for the dwarfs. There's one Fane is looking to go down. It seems like the second Fane as well is starting to waver. And Lokir Fellheart is relatively healthy with the Sister Slaughter in the mix. Belagar is starting to struggle. He's lost all his friends, all his family, and now he's losing his 2 brothers as well, as the Fanes abandon him and flee to save their own skins. Lokir going to be moving in to try to deal with Belagar, who's out of control right now, meaning he can't turn to actually engage with Lokir, and he's instead fighting all the witch elves. Now, a big flame cannon shots will be coming in, though, and this could be absolutely huge. Look how bunched up the Dark Elf player currently is, determined to kill Belagar, and it is just raining fire upon them. The Scissors, Slaughter, and Witch Elves will continue to hunt Belagar, but there is the reserve Dwarf Warriors going to be moving into place. They should be able to actually save their lord, and the Scissors Slaughter are getting infernoed right now. Look at the carcasses all over the place. Lokir gets sent flying before the might of the Dowie artillery. There's a load of Dark Shards left alive. They can push up, but they've run out of basically all their infantry on the center and right-hand flank. The left-hand side is going to be very, very important for the Dark Elves. They need to shut down those flame cannons, otherwise they're going to reap too much bloody havoc on the Dark Shards before they get into play. Now, Witch Elves have got themselves into a good position. They need to swoop down. Looks like one flame cannon has been dealt with as well by the bolt throws. The second one has still 2 artillery pieces left. They do need to be destroyed before these Dark Shards can push up into the main engagement. Local Fairheart keeps demanding challenges from anyone who will listen. Looks like Belegar is ready to answer once more as cannon shots rain in. Belegar marches forth. He's going to be trying to back up his Dwarf Warriors. He attempted to back up the Miners initially. Didn't go too well, but now he's got the more sturdy Warriors alongside him. Dreaded Duelist has been popped, but likewise has a Revenge Incarnate, and we have an epic Duel of Duels. Of course, Loki can regenerate, but Belegar's going to be hitting much harder, at least whilst the Revenge Incarnate is active. As soon as that goes off, though, he's going to be struggling. The Witch Elves do start poking down the Dwarf Warriors, but decide, you know what, we need to come in here and try to finish off Belegar. And they do get that Rampage, which is massive, because hopefully he will get messed up on the enemy infantry. In the back line, the Witch Elves have managed to slaughter one cannon. They're now knee-deep in Dowie, though. Harpies as well doing a decent job shutting down the flame cannons. Very close game so far. The Dark Shards continuing to lay it on pretty thick, and it seems like the Dark Elves are in a state of advantage. The Dwarf Warriors are barely holding on, and Belegar Ironhammer has been forced back here. Loki Felheart likewise has been driven away, and he does not regenerate whilst running like this. He regenerates whilst fighting, though if he's in combat, if people are chasing him down and they're touching him, he will, funny enough, regenerate because it counts as being in combat, which has been one of those weird bugs in the game for a long time, or maybe not even a bug, it's just a weird way the mechanic works. Dark Shards are very deadly at the moment, picking apart the Dwarf Warriors who are trying to push in to get to grips with the Reaper Bolt Throwers and other ranged troops. Flame Cannon's back online, though. Does some decent damage to the Dark Shards. It looks like the second Flame Cannon may be able to stabilize as well. Crawlers do some 360 no-scopes into the Witch Elves. More cannon crews are being getting back onto their artillery pieces. Very close game so far. And the Dwarves, again, super aggressive, and I love to see it. Miners, Dwarf Warriors pushing forward, driving back the Dark Shards and stopping them from shooting. That is going to be the aim of the day. The Loki Felheart plays quite nice, though. Jumping him on Miners, he's going to take very little damage. And, of course, as he heals in combat, that is perfect to get him back up to fighting shape. Dwarf Warriors have managed to break the Dark Shards and drive them away with the help and support of the Flame Cannons. Human Boy, if you do watch this back at any point, you are an absolute Chad. I love the double Flame Cannon pick. It really has made my day. That's some awesome stuff. Dwarf Warriors are just absorbing Dark Shard shots right now. Shields up, lads. Axes ready. Charge! In the name of all we hold dear. They do go forward, but the Dark Shards decide, you know what, we're simply going to run away, and then the Dwarves are going to get kited, unfortunately, which is, you know, the life of a Dwarf Warrior. I feel like the Dwarves have stabilized relatively decently here in the back, and they've got all of their artillery firing once more. We have 3 cannons active. This Flame Cannon crew, unfortunately, don't seem to be able to get onto their artillery pieces, which is a big blow. All the artillery pieces dead? It looks like they are. Nice target priority coming in from the Dark Elf player. Now, Witch Elves have been shattered. It has become a very, very scrappy game. The Dwarves have dug in deep. They're sipping on their Bugman's Brew and contemplating their next moves, and the Dark Elves may just run out of ammunition here. The Dark Shards are looking really thin. We still have this unit on the left-hand side coming back. 7 rounds of ammo left. We also have some Bleak Swords who can return. They've been busy chasing away Thanes all day. A couple more units dotted around the battlefield, but nothing that's going to come back and actually impact the battle. The Thanes are gone, and Belegar has shattered a dishonorable Dowie. He's going to have to go home, speak to Ungrim, dye his hair, and take that Slayer oath because he has been a disgrace upon the battlefield. Rear bolt throwers are out of ammo. They're going to be used to chase down Dwarf Warriors. And do the Dark Elves have enough ammunition? Despite the balance of power being in their favor, I'm not convinced. We got 3 units here of decent ammo. Where is Loki Felheart? He is barely clinging on right now, down to 290 HP. There is no way the Dwarvish cannon crew is going to let him get close to the battlefield. Dwarves do move forward to intercept the Dark Shards, and they clatter in. They are vastly outnumbered, but certainly not outmatched or outskilled, and they should be able to carve their way relatively easily here through the missile troops, as the last push of the Dark Elves is upon us, moving up to fight. Rear bolt thrower crew is going to have to get down and dirty and involved in combat if they want any chance to win this, but I feel like the Dwarves have enough in them. 65 Dwarf Warriors here, 64 on that right-hand unit, and this 3 cannons still operational on the right-hand side is really bad for the Dark Elves, as this doesn't continue to poke down and shatter Loki, who has now broken in the back, and now it can focus down at the Dark Shards who have ammunition and try to take away as much resources the Dark Elves have as physically possible. Dwarfs are rotating down to the left-hand side to engage with the combat Dark Shards. Might want to push a few units through as well and just chase these other Dark Shards off, because if they're kiting you, at least they're not really shooting super effectively. Crawlers are raining shots down as well, starting to trade pretty effectively, I would guess, in this latter stages. They have 29 models up against the 29 of the Dark Shards, so a pretty even trade here. Interesting to see which one of these two does pull it out. Looks like the leadership of the Dark Elves is kind of their big problem. They're starting to waver. Dwarf Lord's going to be going after the Reaper Bolt Thrower. It's not a bad idea. Just take away that balance of power, which for so long has been in favor of the Dark Elves, finally has started to stabilize. And I think the Dwarves may even start to sneak ahead in a second as the Bolt Thrower crews do indeed go down. But this is still good play by Lord Baltimore. Pin the enemy in with units which are basically useless for you now, and then rain arrows in upon the pinned enemy. The Dwarf Warriors are able to break back the Bolt Throwers and can now move on to the second unit of Dark Shards. In the center, the Dark Shards break before the might of the Dowie wave as more Quarrelers even get moved into combat, and the Bolt Thrower crew simply cannot hang on. Balance power is still in favor of Dark Elves. This shocks me so much. I cannot see a way back in the game for them, but the balance power is like, no, the Dark Elves shall be supreme. So I don't want to say it's a bit biased, this balance power, but it seems to be. The cannons still have 2 ammunition. Definitely want to shoot down the ranks of these Dark Shards right now. They might be able to pinball quite a few units down as Dwarf Warriors shall now move into combat with the Dark Shards. But likewise, the Dwarfs are looking a little bit low. How many volleys do we have left? 2 volleys. Definitely want to be pouring them into this strong unit of Dwarf Warriors because the other Warriors certainly have an opportunity to be broken. Likewise, Quarrelers aren't going to be the greatest in combat. Cannon crew, 1 volley left. That's all they have. Definitely want to focus down the Dark Shards with the ammunition. It's been very scrappy, but after 10 minutes of fighting, the balance power finally is in favor of the mighty Dwarfs of the Sons of the Mountain. Dark Shards rain shots down from afar, but they look into their quivers and realize they have expended all their ammunition. Now it is time for them to engage the Dwarfs in combat. Quarrelers do seem like they're breaking. Dark Shards are still Elves, so they're okay in combat, I suppose, compared to human ranged troops. Reaper Bolt Throwers will be moving in. The last volley has now been sprung, and can the Dwarfs hold? If they get rear attack, their leadership might start to waver and they could break. Dark Shards going to be pushing down the hill to engage with them. We still have 40 Dwarf Warriors here, and then it's just a load of artillery crews. This is so scrappy and disaster. The Dark Elf player had the 41 Bleak Swords so far away from the battle. This is why the balance of power was so much in their favor. If they were here fighting alongside the Dark Shards, they might have enough to overwhelm the Dwarf Warriors. Without them nearby, the Dwarfs are just doing so much damage now to the Dark Shards. I definitely would have delayed this engagement as long as physically possible before committing the Dark Shards without the support of the Bleak Swords, because the Dwarfs are now going to get a fat surround. Dark Shards do countercharge, but they're pushing uphill, and we know what Obi-Wan says. It's over, Dark Shards. I have the high ground, and they are wavering on all fronts. Quarrelers are starting to come back. It looks like the flame cannon crews have decided, you know what, lads, we need to get in there. We have to get down and dirty and fight. If the Dark Elf artillery crew can fight in combat, so can we with the mighty Dwarfs. Our honor won't let us not engage with the enemy. Dark Shards are starting to go down. This added unit of Dwarf Warriors has been a really nice inclusion. The Dark Shards certainly starting to suffer, and the Bleak Swords are just miles away from the fighting. Them and this Bolt Thrower crew are going to arrive certainly too late. If they're fighting alongside their forces, maybe there was a chance, but the Dwarfs now taking a massive advantage and are well and truly in the driving seat. It is completely their game to lose. Dwarf Warriors have overwhelmed the Dark Shards, can simply force them off, and I would even consider just taking all this force, probably focus down this unit Dark Shards and jump the Bleak Swords whilst there's no support for them, as it'd be a good way to finish off the battle, because that's kind of the end of the damage value from the Dark Elves. We'll fast forward this one a little bit, as it's going to be a bit of a chase. Dwarfs chasing does tend to take some considerable time, and it looks like the Dwarfs actually decide to give up the chase here and just consolidate their forces a little bit, but the Bleak Swords actually break just from hearing the war cries of the Dowie. Their hearts, their souls ripped in twain, and they flee from the battlefield, and that's going to be GG, because there's simply no way this Dark Elf infantry force has enough about it to overwhelm this many Dwarf Warriors, even saturated in with, flame cannon crews and the like. But very close game, really good fun stuff there between both players. Human Boy, yes, pinning down his Skaven Warpstone and picking up the mighty Dowie Axe one more time to try to bring glory to the Sons of the Mountains, and I was very impressed. Well played to Lord Baltimore as well. Did a good job with his Dark Elves, and nearly had it. I think if that Bleak Swords was a little bit closer to the fight at the end, it definitely was worth chasing off the Feint, by the way, but just if circumstances were kind of against him there, but if they were over in the main fight, maybe he could have surrounded and break the Dwarf Warriors, but Dowie leadership is so freaking strong, and they do not like running for no one. Belagar Ironhammer, 15 kills, 786 damage value, really being outclassed by Lokir Felhart, unfortunately. Likewise, the Thanes got slapped, 150 and 190 value is all they got. That hero core, once surrounded by Witch Elves and Lokir, just stood no chance. 500 damage, 369, 213, 370, and 420 from the miners with blasting charges. It doesn't seem great, does it? That doesn't seem like a huge amount, but they crippled the Dark Elf front line. Those blasting charges just rip into the Bleak Swords. Not going to get the most value, but you do so much HP damage that the Bleak Swords really can't recover from it, and that allows the other units to sweep them up even easier. Dwarf Warriors, 47, 55, 87, 23, and 29 kills apiece. 660, 640, 940, 470, and 360 value. It's all really good stuff, and they also held and allowed the artillery to do some decent long-range damage. Great weapons fared much worse, only 150 and 160 value on them. 540 on the quarrels, but the artillery pieces were key. 569, 991, 928, and 300 value, with 69 kills to boot. What's not to love about flame cannons? Lokir Felheart, 1000 damage value, easily outclassing Belegar and both the Thanes. Bleak Swords in the front had a really miserable time. This is probably where they get their name from, just running into blasting charges being sacrificial lambs. The Witch Elves fared a bit better. 630, 630, and 730 damage value isn't too shabby. Dark Shards, 760 value, 1000 value, 760, 430, pretty much using up all the ammunition. Harpies, unfortunately, had to kind of suicide bomb into the back to try and overwhelm the enemy, and it just did not pay off. The bolt throwers did a good job, though. 970, 850, and 530 value on them. Traded relatively effectively into the Dwarvish artillery, but they were simply outnumbered, outmatched. And at the end of the day, the Dwarfs shall claim victory. So that's going to be 1-0 there to Sons of the Mountain. Human Boy shall be moving on into the enemy backlines a little bit more. So let's go down to game 2 and change the scoreboard quickly. So Sons of the Mountain draw first blood, which is good to see. I believe we have a little bit of fluff text as well, written by Grombrindle after each battle. So let me quickly see if I can find it. I'm pretty sure there was some fluff text written by Grombrindle about each battle. Let me see. I'll double check it to make sure it's not like too spoilery or anything. Yes, so I think it is. So this is the report, at least that the Dwarfs say. So on the Dwarvish side, it's their report. What's up, Matthew Coffin? Hope it's going all good, man. Huntingborough TV, nice. Finally a duck streaming live. Yes, we've apologies for the lack of streams recently. I took a big break over Christmas because I was getting a little burnt out on Warhammer 2. And then obviously you guys have now heard I'm getting to do some early access. So I've been really busy with that. So more streams will be coming. The next couple of weeks are going to be a bit tough because obviously I can only show you guys so much. But yeah, regular streams will be coming back. Don't you guys worry. Don't you worry. What's up, Storm? What's up, Full Poland? Blackthorn? Glad to have you guys here. Human Boy, I think, worked as a mercenary, Zypher. But anyway, this is the tale as recorded by the Dwarfs after their first battle. Responding to the call to arms of the High King, Belegar marched to war with his clan. On his way, he encountered Lokir Felheart's Dockin Black Ark and laid a successful ambush. A unit of rangers assassinated the Druchi's mage before she even stepped foot on land, and the disheartened and surprised Druchi suffered a humiliating defeat. As the recounting there of the Dwarfs in this first victory, which was pretty awesome stuff. I like that little bit of fluff text there as well. I completely forgot, yeah, there was no spellcaster for the Dark Elves, which may have been a tactical choice, or maybe it was just forgotten. It does happen to all of us. Is this the last Warhammer 2 stream? No. This is actually part 1 of a 2-part clan war, and also hopefully going to be doing the Western versus Chinese content creators tournament, which has already been done a long time ago, but I have all the replays for it and want to do that as well. So I'm still going to be mixing them in on the way to Warhammer 3, because yes, I am able to release early access stuff tomorrow, but I am limited in the amount of stuff I can show and what I can show, so I will still be doing Warhammer 2 content alongside Warhammer 3 stuff. So don't you guys worry, we're going to have loads more. We're going to do loads more. Yeah, we might be able to do a testing stream. I know a few guys already have, but maybe we can pop one in at some point. Tomorrow, I won't be doing a live stream. I'll be doing a video, and I'll be playing in Turin's live stream. I'll be doing my own live stream either Friday or Monday, I think. But up next, we have Sons of the Mountain's Philox. I think that's how you pronounce your name. Leading the force of the Empire, which is rather thematic, right? The Empire coming to the aid of the Dowie. Up against Elfarian Shades, who's a bit of an OG on the channel. Lovely dude. We've met a billion times in quick battles, and many of his games have been featured because they tend to be really quite fantastic. And it is a Beastmen versus Empire, and this build is a very interesting Empire build here. So they do have double war wagons, looking to apply a bit of long-range pressure and then fall back into the defensive formation. I have seen war wagons work here, but it is very hard to pull off due to the mobility of the Beastmen. For the Empire, we have Halberdiers guarding the flanks and Spearmen and Swordsmen dotting through the front line. Halberdiers as well guarding the center, so some dwarvish geometry has been going on. Looks like some battle orders were sent to the more inexperienced Empire on how to conduct warfare. Double Huntsmen in that central pocket. We also have a bucket ton of Pistoliers, probably here to counter Centaurs because they're bad against armor, but they should be able to do relatively decent up against the rather naked troops of the Beastmen. We have an Amber Wizard down here, coming in with the Manticore Summon and a Flock of Doom, pretty standard stuff. And it is Boris Toddbringer, the one-eyed maniac. It's very thematic to see him taking on the Beastmen. Going to be coming in with all of his stuff, basically. Crush the Weak, the White Cloak of Ulrich, the Middenland Runefang, Foe Seeker, all the juicy goodness. Pretty excited to see how this box actually fares, because in my experience, Beastmen tend to be able to crumple them pretty fast, or they struggle. They kind of like can't even break in at all, or they just crush it very, very quickly. In the main battle line for the Beastmen, it is a mixture of Ungor Spearherds and Goreherds all the way along here, including on the flanks. A load of Centaurs as to be expected. Centaurs thrown axes, more Centaurs of thrown axes, all that standard juicy competitive Beastmen stuff. We also have a Brave Shaman of Wild coming in here with Traderkin and Brave Scream. I'm like the one guy who doesn't get the hype about Brave Scream. I think it's good, don't get me wrong. I just don't know if it's worth like as much as people use it. It is very cheap though, and it will allow you to proc, I guess, your like passive for them. So maybe that's why people bring it. We have Torx the Brass Bull alongside his Gorball buddy, which is always good to see. The little brother kind of bringing a little brother to work day here. Torx coming in, of course, with the brass body, but that is about it. Without further ado, let's get this battle underway. So instantly the war wagons will be started to pepper down the enemy spellcaster there. War wagons are good counter to Taurochs, Gorballs, Bray Shamans, anything large they can certainly deal with. Pistoliers and Huntsmen though are going to have to counter the Centaurs hard and hope the front line holds. Looks like a big gap was opened up just for the cavalry to pour through, which looks freaking badass. It definitely needs to be plugged though before the Beastmen arrive. Pistoliers do swoop forward and decide maybe we don't want this fight, and they instantly turn back away. But hey, they do manage to unleash a deadly salvo of bullets into the Ungors, slaying a couple of the beasties. Spearmen brace themselves, getting ready for the charge. Huntsmen as well, getting ready to unleash some salvos upon the Centaurs. Need to get firing as soon as possible. Looks like here we go, and they do some pretty decent damage with that bonus versus large. The Centaurs certainly getting pulled down there into the dirt and the mud. Lovely to see. An absolute flustercluck is going back here. If we can get an Overcast Tradekin, that would be just game ending instantly. Big Fat Flock of Doom, though, instead is going to catch many of the Beastmen forces who bomb rush directly into it, but we are going to get the Traderkin. It's the fight of the Flock of Doom and the Traderkin, and that is disgusting. An Overcast Traderkin catching 50% maybe of the Empire force. That is really, really painful. That damage value on that Brave Shaman is going to be disgusting at the end of the game. Boris has floated down to try and stem the tide of Centaurs. You can see the box is already broken. A big fat Brave Scream is going to send a Huntsman knock-in. Spearman desperately trying to form a line with the Halberdiers to pin in the enemy. The Centaurs are rampaging straight through the center of this build and getting into the Huntsmen, who are often going to be bringing a lot of the pain and damage output from this build. Looks like a Feral Manticore Summon has been brought in to try to stem the tide and slow down the Beastmen advance on the right-hand side. Lots of shots are being poured in to Taurochs and the Gorbal, who are just beelining for the war wagons. They're seeing their red flags, and they're just losing their crap right now, trying to hunt them down. Pistoliers are attempting to support alongside some Halberdiers, but it's going a little bit rough. War wagons, they're relatively okay speed, but they're not, super quick. Coming in with 50 speed, and the Gorbal has 64, so it can easily catch them and drag them down. Manticore Summon has been used to try to clear out chaff, it would seem. Probably best going after the Bray Caster. But clearing out the chaff also can work wonders, and then you allow your infantry to really dominate in the latter stages of the battle. Pistoliers, Huntsmen, War Wagons, all the shots pour onto Taurochs, but he's got 130 armor. He cares very, very little for Pistolier damage. Halberdiers are trying to catch up to support the Huntsmen, but this nice little hero core is being kept moving by the Beastmen player. They've not been caught in one position for too long, and look at that Amber Wizard. He's been really quite badly slapped up. But Amber Wizards are generally better melee combatants than other wizards, though, and that skill and knowledge of Warcraft has allowed him to survive the fight, at least for now. War Wagons continue to pour on shots, Pistoliers as well, doing some pretty nice damage into the Centaurs. Tentacles just getting a little overextended here away from their infantry support. Probably want to fall back a little bit. Fairman's Call got 32 kills, which is doing relatively okay there. Boris is very healthy in the center still, just dealing with the Centaurs. Some good cycle charging on the Gorbel and Torx and the Brayshawn in the late game certainly wouldn't go amiss, but you definitely need a force that allow you to cycle charge like that and support. Huntsman rain down shots. Pistoliers also charging horses first into the Centaurs. These are some rather brave Pistoliers and also some rather dead Pistoliers, as they simply cannot match the ferocity of the Beastmen. The bestial surge flowing through their veins as they wreak bloody havoc amongst the back lines of the Empire. In the main front, though, Halberdiers are starting to hold a bit better. Spearmen likewise starting to saturate on top of some of the single entities. Boris looks across the battlefield and all he sees is his own men dying. He knows he needs to do something and he needs to do it soon. Looks like he's decided to jump on the Ungors, not brave enough to go after Torx the Brass Bull in hand-to-hand combat. In the back line, looks like the Empire plays on a fantastic job here stabilizing his back line with the War Wagons and Pistoliers and Huntsmen all kind of supporting themselves, doing some lovely crossfire, and the Empire might be having a bit of a juicy comeback. Halberdiers and Spearmen surrounded Torx, trying to drag him down with more halberds coming in. Boris definitely wants to start cycle charging some of these single entities while he still has ground support, but at the moment he's trying to protect his back line, which likewise isn't a bad play whatsoever. Centaurs are driving forward once more, looking to get into the back line. The Ambush is trying to put his body on the line to pin the enemy in and save the War Wagons and Pistoliers and Huntsmen. It looks like a nice flock of doom, a beautiful little bait there. Hey, I'm an Amber Wizard, I'm a helpless wizard, come attack me then. Boom, a load of bats swoop down and peck out the eyes of the Centaurs. Doesn't do the most damage though. Looks like he does start to break. We get a fat Traderkin go down, not overcast this time, on the big infantry core of the Empire, and they are starting to break. Halberdiers are a fantastic unit, very underrated. I highly recommend Empire players trying them out a little bit more, but alas, even the mighty Halberdiers cannot save them, and the infantry core has broken. And this is a big problem for Boris. You may be very healthy at this point of the battle, but you've kind of don't have the ability to charge in anymore. Even if you want to cycle charge, there's no friendly troops to pull out from, and that means that Torx, the Gorbel, they're all going to have a fantastic day. And the Beastmen have kind of formed a Roman bestial fist right now, and they're just punching the living crap out of anything that comes near them. A big deadly blob now. This does make them a little bit more susceptible to those nasty flock of dooms from the Amber Wizard, but I don't even know if the Amber Wizard's left alive right now, so they should be relatively safe doing this and just roaming around the battlefield deleting the enemy, and it's going to ensure that they're relatively well protected against Boris Todbringer. Don't leave any units too far wide, because they could be jumped by him. It looks like we actually do have the Amber Wizard. He was hiding behind a War Wagon, the crafty little devil, and Flock of Doom's going to be coming down, taking out a lot of the infantry. Even if the infantry goes down, do we have enough to kill the Gorbel and Torx? It's going to be a scrap. We still have Huntsman here, and we still have the War Wagon, so maybe there is still a chance for the Empire. Balance fight is very even 6 minutes into this game. What a fantastic start to the tournament we've had. The last game was epic and super close, and this one as well is following suit. Boris, you're going to have to start to grow some balls though, buddy, soon, and really get involved in the action. He's been flying quite high in the skies, just vibing for a bit too long. And he is now tempted to charge in. He pops his buffs and he's going after the Gorbel. I like this play. Actually assassinate the Gorbel before you assassinate Torx, because Torx is simply going to brass body it and be almost impossible to take down. We do get an overcast Flock of Doom looking to clear out the chaff. Boris, though, lacking the infantry support of the Halberdiers. Got one unit over here who's eating a Brave Scream for their troubles of vibing. The range support is decent, but it's going to mean Boris is probably going to be going down here. And it doesn't look like enough damage was brought upon Torx and the Gorbel from that engagement. So Boris is running for his life. Halberdiers are starting to push up. War Wagons are out of ammunition, so they're going to be putting their lives on the line in the name of the Empire to try to pin in the enemy and allow Boris to escape. Look at that play. Boris is running for his life. He does, of course, have that regeneration. I love the devotion from the War Wagons' faith, steel and gunpowder, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Torx is really freaking angry right now. He is saturated in amongst 34 Halberdiers who are doing lovely damage to all of these single entities. Can they hold though? That's going to be the crucial thing, because the Bray Shaman looks to be breaking. Pistoliers charge their horses into the fray, but Boris, rather than coming back to fight, abandoned his people and fled to save himself. A valiant defeat this time for the Sons of the Mountain team, and the first victory of the day for AIMA. What a scrap. What an absolute scrap. That was awesome. Did you read report after battle? Yes, I am reading the reports after the battle for Poland. They are very, very cool. Human Boy sends me Squeak Squeak. What's up, dude? Hope you're all good. I don't know if you managed to catch that game. Hopefully you did. That was some wild stuff. Well played to Felox and Elfrian Shades. Now, quickly, before we delve into the damage value, I want you guys to take a guess. How much damage value did that Bray Shaman get? I want your guesses. How much damage did the Bray Shaman get? He got 300 kills. 300. That's absurd. Absurd. What's up, dog? Hope it's going all good, man. Dobril as well. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, indeed. I sent you a grudge, which is written in Damazcron to the AIMA clan. Discord doc. I will very quickly check. I will very quickly check. Let's see what this is. Is that for the last battle, I'm assuming? I'm assuming that's for the last battle. You want me to read that out? So we're doing part 1 today. I can only stream to 8 o'clock, unfortunately. Because I've got prize stuff afterwards. So this is part 1. So we might not get that far down. But I will be reading out, of course, all the glorious writings you've done after each battle, the little battle reports. Let's delve into the damage dealt and damage value in just a second. I'm still waiting for you guys just to... You reckon 300 value, says Professor Pone. 300 value, says Pone. Pone, I know you love to meme, but like, oh, that's a bit insane. 2.8k, 2k, 3k. Who won? It was a Beastmen victory. So let's have a little look. It was 2,700 damage value and 300 kills. That is absurd. So Rusty's the winner of that one with the 2.8k. Very, very close. That was very close. He did some lovely work. Torx the Brass Ball got 1.9k damage value. Just such a beast. And once the range support started to go down, it was always looking a little rough for the Empire. Simply due to the fact they had no way to really counter Torx and his buddy, the 1.6k damage dealing Gorbel. Infantry didn't do too much, honestly. Mainly got run over. And the Halberdiers held so fantastically against all these troops. Tentacles of Thrown Axes, 400 value, 670, 400... 380, 470, 340. Really, you know, not too much for the majority of the build. This hero core carried the day. Well played to Elfarian Shades. But not taking anything away from Felox. I thought he did a good game himself. Only 650 from Boris, though. That was the problem. Boris not getting engaged enough. Not really being Felox's fault. He couldn't find the right engagements because of Torox being so healthy. 692 value from some nice Flock of Dooms from the Amber Wizard, as well as that Manticore summon, and the mid-hundreds damage value-wise for the Spearmen and Halberdiers, who gave their lives bravely, but all they could do was try to hold the tide rather than actually defeat it. 830 and 720 value on the Huntsman's pretty solid work. Pistoliers struggled, mid to low hundreds on them. War Wagons as well. 500 value is not great, but 1,200 on the second unit does kind of showcase, hey, these guys have a place. It's just really hard to make them work and actually protect them up against the Beastmen, who are such a rapid unit. So, let us quickly update the scoreboard. It is 1-1 now between the forces of Sons of the Mountain and AIMA, meaning these forces can move on to engage in future battles. And let's quickly read the battle report. So this is from the point of view, once again, of the Dwarfs. And they've done that first battle report, and they follow on with the other allies of the Dowie weren't so fortunate. Similar to Belegar, Boris also marched his legions to aid his Dwarven ally, but his forces encountered Torox's Bray Herd. After a hard-fought battle, Boris was wounded and his legions were shattered. So Boris is going to have to go home, unfortunately, and start to lick his wounds. Oh, what's this? I've been sent something, I think, by one of the clanmates. It seems like it is the same thing that I'm reading out. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but we'll be moving on. I'll message you in a sec, bro. I think that was Noah who's in chat. I'll reply to you afterwards. But the next game is going to be between the glorious... It's called Volkmar versus Marathi. I think they all had to use a different lord, maybe? I'm not sure. Because is this Torox the same Torox? Yeah, it is. Okay. Maybe they're all using different lords. That's very cool. This one's going to be between Tretch of the Cult of Pleasure, coming in with Marathi, up against Virtuous on 458 of the Sons of the Mountain with some more Empire action. Take a little breather here quickly, in between games, so I can chill out and chat with you guys. You reckon 1.5, 2k? Yeah, 2.7k. Professor Pone, you do win an award? Yes, I already have the reports. Thank you, Nerface. That's honestly really appreciated. Professor Pone, you do win an award by being the worst guess on how much value they got, though. So that's pretty impressive. That's good for something. Rusty, bow down. Quack, quack. What's up, Parkrilla? Hopefully you're having a good day today. Yeah, the Beastmen are certainly very strong. I personally feel the Beastmen are considerably the best faction in the game right now. Human Boy, yes, yes. What's up, man? Hope you're doing all good. You missed your battle earlier. We did cast it. I was a massive fan of the double flame cannon. Massive, massive fan. So, before we hop into this next game, let me show you latecomers how this tournament's being run. So pop up this little diagram on the screen, and you can see on that far right-hand side, Human Boy's Dowie did defeat the Dark Elves in front of them, so they will be moving forward to attack the second rank of enemies, and this will be happening all the way along the battle line. So all these armies are clashing, trying to get as many wins as possible, because if you get to the enemy general, which is at the very top, you can see Dilatron with Arcan, and at the bottom, Grombrundle with Thorgrim. These guys, they're the kings of their clans. And they have ultra-fund armies, these gigantic armies which you can't physically beat one-on-one. But if two of your guys fight your way through the opponent to the enemy general, you take turns at attacking it, and every unit you shatter is killed for good, and they can't use it in future battles. I'm expecting it to come down to both forces soften each other up a little bit, and then the big ultra-fund units fighting in the final. At least that's what I hope is going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. Let's load into this and see how it goes. Sorry about that, a little bit of cough. Lords and factions were locked in for each player on that opening screen with the formations. We take those, Pone, we 100% do. Yeah, honestly, it's a pretty cool little format. It is a very cool little format. I like this clan war approach quite a bit. It's a little bit more complex, of course, than your standard approach, but for doing it like long term over a couple of days, I think it can really work well. So for the forces of the Empire here, trying to avenge their brother in Boris, it looks like Volkmar the Grim is also marching to the aid of the Dowie. We have triple pistoliers in the front, which we've seen do okay in that last game, and we have a mixture of swordsmen, naked lunatics, and Sigma Suns dotted all the way along the front line, led by Volkmar the Grim, of course, coming in with all his goodies on his chariot. Is there really any other way to bring Volkmar? We have a Deathcaster down low with Spirit Leech spam. Love to see it. Very good. We have a Knights Blazing Sun, Tunis in fact, and then triple Halberdiers. Yes, Halberdiers, I don't know what it is about them. They're like one of the few Empire units which just hold in glorious fashion. The anti-large certainly can help. And we have a Hammer of Witches, forged in the fires by the Dwarfs as a gift for the Empire. They have to answer that kind of, that gift with a gift of their own, hopefully stemming the tide of evil that does approach their High King. The forces of the Dark Elves, I'm gonna let you take a guess what this build was before, and you probably would have guessed this. Double Ferromanticore in the skies, alongside Marathi coming in with Soul Stealer. We do have Dark Riders and Dark Riders repeater crossbows dotted all the way along the front in nice vanguarded situation. We have Dread Spears and Blix Swords in the main battle line, so again relatively cheap and cheerful. And then Cold War Knights 1, 2, and 3. No Dread Knights sadly, but Cold War Knights still look pretty badass, pretty rock and roll, and they can certainly dish the pain to the majority of the Empire cavalry. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway. Who is your money on? Who is your money on? Yeah, it feels like a gigantic war between these two guys. It's really quite cool. I agree. Maybe we can do some more clan wars like this into the future. So we get a big fat Spirit Leech overcast into the Cold Knight, and oh my god! Oh, that is such a juicy target. Do you see those cannon shots? So many dead cold ones on the ground. The pain, the suffering. I mean, I know Dark Elves like that kind of thing, but oof, that is rough. Down to half HP on this unit of cold ones. Lovely shots there coming in from the Hammer of the Witches. The Pistoliers are going to be just trying to counter-skirmish the enemy where possible. Volkmar can deal with all the infantry. They do need to deal with the Cav and Manticores. Manticore's a very nice counter to Volkmar in general. Hammer of Witches may be starting to shoot over this hill a little bit, but the Dark Riders are getting driven back by the Pistoliers, and unfortunately the Dark Elves are going to be fighting uphill. You can see the repeater crossbows do get really, really aggressive here and actually drive into the enemy front line, perhaps looking to do some cycle charging. Very risky. I don't think that was necessary particularly, because they did basically no damage and just took a load in return. Maybe it was an attempt to bait in the Knights of the Blazing Sun, but they don't buy it. They actually fall back themselves and wait patiently for future conquest. Knights of the Blazing Sun lower their lance and charge downhill into the the swordsmen in the front. And they're certainly going to have a good day there. We've got a big fat flank overload, though, coming in on the right-hand side from the Dark Elves. Cold Knights are eating Spirit Leeches, but the cavalry's really getting whipped around that flank now. And a big fat Soul Sealer is going to catch the Knights of Blazing Sun, as well as some Naked Lunatics in the front. Pistoliers attempting to bring low the Ferromanticores, but they're swooping back and forth. Lovely micromanagement by the Dark Elf player to keep those guys alive. Knights of Blazing Sun slam into the Bleak Swords, sending them flying in all different directions, and more Knights charge downhill to try to support and finish off Morathi. Lances lowered into the breach we go, and they slam home into the Manticores, who do need to tie down Volkmar on the Grim where possible. Dark Rider's going to collapse in, and we have Dark Rider repeater crossbow support, so a very pivotal engagement going on in the middle here. Big debuffs coming in from Morathi, but big buffs coming in from Volkmar, so a nice counterpunch by both players. Definitely more Empire support nearby, and Morathi's really struggling because the Knights of Blazing Sun doing some good work, and Pistoliers are also launching shots in. Hammer Witches is still stabilized and online. Dark Elves had to give up on this flank overload to try to collapse back and save their lady, because she is taking so much work right now. Volkmar, in an evil fashion, twirls his mustache and laughs manically as he runs over Morathi, who is trying to hold on, but both her pets have been forced off. You can see the Ferromanticores being chased away. The Dark Riders as well have been getting finished off. Now, the Harrow Witches is about to be shut down, at least momentarily, by the Ferromanticore. The Pistoliers can do some really nice work. Manticores do not have good armor, so Pistoliers can certainly do some big numbers on them. The Dark Elves are pouring through the breach. Loads of cavalry, loads of dread spears all charging in. Knights of the Blazing Sun have been everywhere today, though, bouncing around the battlefield, pinning in troops, just like Morathi here, and she has been shattered down to just 36 HP. She might be able to sliver away, though, as the Empire seems to be done with her. Like, go, you're not worth our time. We're needed elsewhere. And with Morathi going down like that, one Manticore already done. The second Manticore has done enough to shatter the Hammer of Witches, but likewise has become a rampage. Does charge after the Knights of the Blazing Sun. The problem being, Volkmar can sit on top of these halberds all day long and do some really fantastic work. Swordsmen are able to break the Dark Elves in the back, and it shall be another victory for the Sons of the Mountain, taking this conquest into a 2-1 situation, which is certainly very good news for them. So well played here to Virtuous, 458 and Tretch, but it was a victory for the forces of the Imperium of Man, as I believe they're called the Imperium. I think it's in, someone who sends me replays, the Empire is called the Imperium, so I'm not sure what country that's from where that translation's been happened, but good job by the men of the Empire. I think a really solid victory. Definitely kept his composure when those Manticores and Morathi came in, and did some really good work. The Hammer of Witches, 479 damage value, 21 kills. It did okay, some really nice early shots, but after that did struggle as the battle got right up in its face. Pistoliers did a good job. I was rather impressed with the damage they were able to do to the Manticore, but that seems like it was the only target they could jump on, the low hundreds value-wise. 586 and 2,164 damage value for the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Such a fantastic pinning unit in this game. The front line was born to die, and die they certainly did. But again, mid to high hundreds damage value. Halberdiers mid to low hundreds value, though. So, you know, a bit of a mixed bag across the board. 410 value on the Deathcaster, and Volkmar the Grim, 1.2k damage value. Certain some lovely stuff. But Tretch really struggled from Morathi getting sniped. That was the big turning point, because the Dark Elves were actually well and truly in the enemy back line, running stuff over and doing some really decent damage. But, unfortunately, Morathi going down really turned the tides. 20 kills on Morathi, 480 damage value, certainly not too bad. Both the Manticores, 340 and 630 value, so they struggled, and the infantry corps got obliterated due to some good cycle charge, and of course the presence of Volkmar. Any standout units here? The Cold Ones, 69 damage value, 400 value, and 520. Dark Riders also really struggled to get on good targets, so neither army really having a standout, just good trades all around for the Empire, and that will be another victory there for the forces of Sons of the Mountain. So let's quickly update the scoreboard and get that switched around. So it is now 2-1, and let's read the Dowie recap on that game as well. So let's quickly go back into the right Discord. So it reads, on another front, Volkmar faced Morathi. With high spirits and skillful maneuvers, the Hag Sorceress was defeated and forced back. Shortly after, should I say this next bit? Yes. I think that's fine to say, but it says, shortly after, Mazdamundi joins forces with the Grand Theologist, and the two march together towards chaos. I'm assuming the next game is just going to be Mazdamundi at some point, which is pretty cool. So let's hop back in and get the next one ready to rumble, and then we can chat with you guys. I'll have a little sip of a drink. We can hop into the next game. We have a load of games to get through. We do have a time limit today, so we're going to be going for about another hour, and then the rest of the games will be streamed next week. But we're on to game 4 already, which is pretty good, and it looks like it is going to be more Dark Elves coming in from Shogunuk here, taking on Eumenes and his Dwarfs. Should be a good fun fight. Should be a very good fun fight. Imperium is in the 40k. It is, but also it's in a translation of this game. The Empire is called the Imperium. I'm not sure if it's in German or something. But yeah, it is also in here. Yeah, the Imperium is 40k. Yeah, it is as well. What's the consequence of the losing this format? I think they get knocked out, so they can't move on to fight in the future battles. Which is a little bit of a problem for them. I hope you guys are enjoying so far. Good to see so many of you here. It's, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. Like, I'm really enjoying the Total Warhammer 2 content soon. But I'm just like, guys, I can't wait. I can't wait to showcase stuff for you. It's gonna be awesome. Malice for the win. I hope we get Malice. Malice better be strong. It is Hag Grief. It is Hag Grief. I can see him doing some work against the Dwarfs as well. Let's have a quick sip of the drink. That's the awesome stuff. And let's hop straight into this next game. So it is Malice Darkblade versus Thoric Ironbrow. Let's get a crack-a-lackin'. Let's get it crack-a-lackin'. Oh, I'm a big fan of both these builds. That is a nasty Dowie build. That is very nasty. Although... oh no, that's fine. I think it's got 12 range units. That's fine. But I don't know what rule set these guys are playing on. I'm assuming it was banner rules or fruit rules. So, for the forces of Thoric Ironbrow, by far and away, in my opinion, the most competitive dwarf lord, though he's been brought on foot, which is super interesting here. Look how Chad he looks. He is so ripped. It is ridiculous. He's that weird old ripped man you see now and again who you just know you don't want to fight. He's coming in with the Rune of Speed and the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, and that's about it. No chair for him. It is a load of dwarf warriors making up the main battalion of the front line. We also have some miners with blasting charges dotted through that second line with quarrelers in the mix as well. I like this miners in the second line, Finn. It's something we discovered so long ago now, but it just ensures they get all their blasting charges off. They technically have one ammunition, but they throw it in 2 volleys. It's a little bit bizarre, but having some units in front guarantees you're going to be able to get good impact. It also bunches up the enemy, which is nice and tasty. We have Dwarf Warriors with great weapons on either flank, some Slayers in the back, as well as some more, I think this is this just more honest Ironbreakers? Oh, hell yeah, okay. Mixed in with some Ironbreakers, guarding a cannon, as well as the Goblobber. Love to see the Goblobber in action. As you can see, there are some goblins attached to these rocks as they go flying through the air, screaming to their deaths. For the forces of the Dark Elves, they've gone really wide here. We have Blackheart Corsairs, which is a decent choice because they will defeat Slayers, or at least do really good damage to them. We do have Hargnef Executioners and Blink Swords, a very long, wide formation. Now, if the Hargnef Executioners can get in, they're going to destroy this build. There's almost no infantry here which can stand up to them, but it's can they get through the enemy barrage on the approach, which is going to be the problem for them. We do have a Malice Darkblade, also known as Mimas Darkblade by some, but hey, he's here to teach you all a lesson and say, no, I am actually a very powerful general. Ignore the rumors, ignore all that, I'm the true power in the world. He comes in with the Blood Price, the Demon Curse, Zarkan, of course, and the Warp Sword of Cain. Very cool stuff all around. Up in the skies, we have some Harpies and a double Feral Manticore. Sorceress of Shadows coming in with Pendulum and Feebling Foe. Big fan of this build. We'll have to see how it does fare, though. Going up against a 20-stacker Dowie as Dark Elves can be really tough. It can be really tough. Are you in Tone's Torment tomorrow? Yes, I am. I'm going to get my butt absolutely slain. I'm against Anticity, so it's going to go very badly for me. But I'm going to have some fun, and I'm sure the gamers will be really enjoyable. I'm so excited to kind of showcase stuff. But yeah, for those who don't know, I think it's, 4 p.m. tomorrow, roughly. I'm going to be on Tyran's channel in a tournament for Warhammer Free Action, which is very cool. So Goblobber is launching shots in now, aiming at the Hargnef Executioners, doing some decent work to them. Hargnef Executioners are going to not be too happy about taking this early pressure, but they're still not that beat up yet. It's still 70 models and 72 models. If they're allowed to engage in this kind of strength in this front line, they will blend it. However, there's a lot of crawler support as well. Black Hawk Corsair is going to be going the long way around. I like this little rock formation here, used to kind of guard the flank by the Dowie. It's going to push the Dark Elves even further and make them take a longer to approach. You can see the Sorcerer of Shadows is taking big cannonball shots. My god, taking a load of damage off the rip there. The Dwarfs starting to reposition their left flank here, getting a little bit tighter to help protect the range pieces. Dwarf Warriors have engaged in the front line, likewise have the Hagnef Executioners. Though they do stand relatively tall, their cloaks look really freaking cool in this colour scheme. Though they stand a little bit tall over the Dwarves, so this will still give them some protection from the crawler shots. At least you would hope you can see some friendly fire going in there, so not a bad engagement for them whatsoever. Dwarves getting really aggressive and pushing far out here to try and keep the fight as far away from their back line as possible. Harpy's just being a pain in the butt and harassing the back line. Malice has pushed his mighty steed Spite into the combat, and he's just kind of standing there vibing, and the miners don't like it, so they're fleeing, trying to save their own skins. They have saved their blasting charges, which I definitely like. You don't really want to be wasting it on the enemy characters because they won't be doing too much damage there. Sorcerer of Shadows has been picked apart here by the long-range cannon shots, which is certainly bad for them. The Dark Elves are well and truly in the back line, though. We have Black Hawk Corsairs moving towards the cannons to shut them down, and they do decent work to the Slayers, though blasting charges are ripping into the Black Ark, setting them on fire and sending them to whatever hell awaits them in the afterlife, screaming for mercy. Hagnef Executioners doing a decent job in the front line, but they've been pinned in for so long. The blasting charges, the Goblobber, the cannon is all really starting to add up and bring some quite nasty pain to them. Dwarfs are certainly in a state of advantage, I would say, in the early stages. You can see the Slayers have actually surrounded Malice, which is a disaster for Malice, of course. Being on Spite, he is large, and they're going to be able to do some good work for him. Harpies are swooping down, trying to deal with the enemy. The blood price does go down, which is going to be helping him a little bit here, giving that damage resistance and better attacks. Dark Elf has kind of faltered on the left-hand side. They slammed in hard, and the Dwarfs just stood firm, and they're starting to push back pretty aggressively here. Both units of Hagnef Executioners have been beat up. I don't expect them to have got great value either. Yeah, 61 value. My god, that is terrible. The other unit up to 370, and it is looking like a pretty solid Dowie game so far, but there is still hope, because the Goblin has just been shut down by the Black Hawk Corsairs, so they're also going to be eating some blasting charges for their trouble. We've got more Black Hawks moving in. We still have both the Feral Manticores bouncing around the battlefield, and Malice Darkblade is still alive. Black Hawk Corsairs are certainly no joke up against the low-tier Dwarf Infantry. Now, the Ironbreakers, they're a different matter entirely. They're going to hold firm. You can see they're shield-bashing heads off Elves. They're having a whale of a time, so they're going to be a big problem in the late game, but everything else certainly still is manageable, and it looks like the Crawlers certainly overchased here in the back to try to finish off the Hagnef Executioners, and now they're being punished. Harpies, Oblique Swords, Hagnef, they're all forcing off these ranged troops. Really lovely scrappy play coming in from the Dark Elf player here. I love to see it. A pendulum does go down, catching out some of the dwarfs, so it seems like the sorceress was able to come back, which is very surprising because she got very beat up and very low, but hey, come back and at least doing some damage is always nice. Malice Darkblade is continuing to pursue the enemy where possible. He does currently have something active on him. Looks like, oh no, it's the Demon Curse being put down on the Crawlers, lowering their leadership and defense, and they're not liking that one bit at all. We do have a Wrath Marine going down on top of the Black Hawk Corsairs. That's going to be quite a nice cast there. Dwarf Warriors engage with Black Hawk Corsairs elsewhere, and the balance power certainly starting to move quite heavily forward here in the favor of the Dowie. Harpies up in the sky, looking to swoop down, minus the blasting charges, as well as Dwarf Warriors surrounding the remaining Dark Elves and pin them in their place. Just, hey, you do not raid the Dowie lands, the Dowie raid your lives and just destroy them. Goblin does fire in the bucket ton of friendly fire, so not the most accurate shot there, but maybe they had a grudge to deal with a member of the Dwarfs in this unit. Black Hawk Corsairs are starting to drop like flies. Manticore pressure is starting to add up a little bit, though. Crawlers are being dealt with. Malice Darkblade is trying to fight on. The blood price is currently popped on him. He's not gone into Zarkan mode yet. You do need to wait to the last very possible moment before popping that, of course, because he will continuously take damage after it has come into play. Taking down the Iron Breakers isn't bad because he's got relatively okay armor piercing. Hagnef Executioners have been forced off. Harpies, though, are dealing with the enemy range. Manticore might want to come over here and snipe for like Ironbrow. Can certainly do some decent job doing that. Now, taking down the Goblobber isn't really a huge priority anymore because there's only really large targets left fighting, the two Manticores and Malice for the Dark Elves. That's all their pressure. And those two forces can tear out the enemy if they can take away their leadership. And Thoric Ironbrow is just waiting to be sniped. He's in the middle of nowhere. He's got no support near him. He's not on a mount, but the Ferromanticore just doesn't want to take that fight. Instead, trying to scrap back by taking out the enemy range. The Quarrelers take away their damage output, but there's still 55 Slayers on the battlefield, which is a little bit rough. As we can see, Spite is trying to force its way through the Dowie. Dowie have pretty good mass, though, and I don't know about you, but getting hit in the face by a pickaxe is really freaking annoying, and it's slowing him down considerably as the miners want to pin him in where possible. He's trying to force his way onto the Godblobber to shut it down, but the Band's power's looking really, really rough right now. Holographic Executioners do shatter. Black Hawk Corsairs are running for their lives as the Godblobber once again attempts some friendly fire. It's a real dodgy Godblobber, this one. I don't know if I trust the lad's crew in it. Quarrel shots are raining in, trying to drag down the mighty Mimas himself. We do get a big fat rune of speed go down. That's going to really assist the Slayers in just dragging down this Ferromanticore. We're just trying to pull away, but this one Slayer's like, no, I will not have it. But down he goes. He does get a little bit of a death blow to try and drag down the mighty Manticore, but it does float up into the skies, retreat, and fall back to live to fight another day. Malice, I don't think even gets the chance to turn into Zark, and he's trying to do it right here, but it pops a little bit too little too late, and the Dwarfs are victorious. Another victory for the Sons of the Mountain. They're really starting to rack up those wins now, getting a bit of momentum behind them in this great war. I say Sons of the Mountain, that was actually one of their mercenaries, Yuminis, who does normally play for RTK. Fabulous dwarf player, really a top tier combatant, and did some good work there up against Shogunuk. Very close game all round. But I think the midpoint of the battle, when that left flank push from Shogunuk failed, from that point onwards, the Dwarves were always in a state of advantage. But very well played to these two lads. For a guy about on foot, it's an interesting choice. Only 180 value, but he is a super support lord in this instance. You don't want to get him in the action. And he did some good work, I guess, with those buffs. The miners, 880 damage value is really tasty. 400 value, 370 value, and 412 isn't too bad across the board. Dwarf Warriors likewise mid to low hundreds damage value, but they held the enemy in place, and that's what they're kind of there for, their big, juicy, heavily armored roadblocks. The great weapons, 94 kills, 600 damage value, and 78 kills, 400 value. Slayers were used very effectively. They're pretty healthy in the end game. They're very good character assassins in general, just the amount of damage output they can do. But if your opponent is large, like Malice was today on Spite, they're going to be beautiful. And they got 1,438 damage value. Ironbreakers, they held, they fought, they barely got to take a scratch of damage. 96 kills, 1,100 damage value, and plenty left in the tank. Quarrelers did okay. Looks like mainly in the 300s and 400s value-wise. 500 for the cannon, 928 for the Godblobber, which, in my opinion, is the only competitive grudge foe to bring, and I think it does some really good work. Malice got 780 value, 61 kills, so unfortunately not living up to his potential. 700 value on the Sorcerers is really not bad considering the amount of damage he took early days. The Bleak Swords got annihilated. It looks like the Black Hawk Corsairs, bit of a mixed bag. Most of them in the low hundreds damage value. The one standout being at 797 damage value and 37 kills. Oh, apologies about that. Dropped my pen. Hard Executioners, 119 kills. 638 damage value. Only 297 on the other one. 590 on the Harpies, and the Manticores kind of flopped. 750 value and 440. A nice solid victory there for the Dwarfs. Let's quickly update the scoreboard. It looks like Beligor is going to be back in action in just a second. Which is really cool to see. I wonder if they have to stick with the same armies. I don't think so. Just the same lords. So now it is 3-1 to the Sons of the Mountain. Let's read this extract from the Dwarfs on the events so far. So, boo. Having arrived at Karak Drak to aid the northernmost Dowie hold against Thoric, set... Oh, wait, what? Hang on a sec. Let me read this just to double check I'm allowed to say all this. I am, cool. Having arrived at Karak Drak to aid the northernmost Dowie hold against Thoric... Yeah, okay, there's some weird spelling stuff here. So I believe Thoric has arrived to help Karak Drak against the Northern Hold. He has set up his camps and is awaiting his allies. However, in a devious move, two armies from the Warriors of the North encircled his encampment with Malice on the northwest and Sigvald on the northeast. Thoric fought on both fronts, fighting valiantly on both fronts. He persisted and even wounds Malice, sending the Dark Elves scurrying. Awesome stuff there. I apologize about my terrible reading skills. But there's a little bit of a mistype, I think, up the top, which made it seem like Thoric had kind of come to attack the Dwarfs or something. But very cool stuff nonetheless. So, we've updated the scoreboard, I believe. Let's hop in to the next game. And once again, it shall be Human Boy taking the reins of Clan Ungrund and Belegar up against Malagor of the Beastmen and the Mighty Crowfather. Let's have a little see what chat's saying. Hope you guys have been enjoying so far, by the way. Quack, quack. GG, well played, Sons of the Mountain. What's up, Logic? How's it going, champ? Hope you're all good indeed. Hope you're all good. Yumi's playing for Sons of the Mountain? Yeah, for sure. Yumi's always does play for Sons of the Mountain, I feel, because, you know, he's a dwarf at heart. He may be RTK, but secretly he's a Sons of the Mountain player, we all know. Mr. Green has arrived, the champ, the king, the absolute meme maestro himself. Hope you're all good, Green One. Hope you're all good. Yeah, I think even if he had managed to pull off the Zarkon switch at the end, dog, I think it was too late by then and Malus would have been dragged down. The Dark Elves can be pretty squishy. They can struggle up against the Dwarfs in some aspects. Executions are okay, Human Being, but they're very squishy, which is the problem. So into Dwarfs, they just take so much damage on the approach, I agree. They just have to keep the same lords, but they can switch up builds. That's good to know. Yes, the Ultra Fun Generals are the ones who stay the same, yeah. 100%. Go Human Boy screams a real human being, and Human Boy says, what a noob. I love it. Yes. Yeah, the main armies are kind of staying the same. Very cool stuff. If you guys are enjoying, by the way, feel free to like and subscribe and all that good standard YouTube-y stuff that I have to say. It's part of my YouTube life now, I guess. But I'm going to have a quick sip of my drink, and let's load into this next one. Human Boy coming in with the freaking cool builds again. What is this? We have an ethereal character? This is madness. No flame cannons though, so negative points on that. Crowfather though. Triple Manticore Rush. Oh baby, that's juicy. That is very, very juicy, this build. Full of big, fat, open map. And the Dwarfs obviously want to kind of scuttle into the corner as much as possible and just take the high ground and try to endure the enemy. So for the forces of the Dwarfs, once again, a load of blast and charges in the front. We've seen so many Dwarf replays so far. Loads of miners, blasts, and charges in the front. Nice central pocket of Dragonback Slayers, regular Slayers, and Giant Slayers, which is good to see. Double Thunderer in that central pocket as well. Couple of units of Dwarf Warriors, some on the flanks, some in the center. One lone cannon. And once again, we have this nice little hero core now. I'm a big fan of this hero core. So in the center, we have Felix. He's the jam. He's what makes the sandwich what the sandwich is. And that's because he's going to be healing up the nearby heroes. For the top bread, we have Belegar Ironhammer. Solid bread. He's probably the end of the loaf, I would say, because he's a little bit rough around the edges. But hey, he does the job. He keeps the sandwich locked in. And we have the nice soft bread under the middle. We've got a brown bread here. We have the Forony Ironbrow, which is a pretty interesting name. The ethereal runesmith is going to be led next to him. And the healing on him is going to be so nice. Beastmen don't actually have that much magic damage to do with single entities. They got a lot of good stuff to do with like Traderkin, to do with cavalry and stuff, but he could be a bit of a problem, and you don't expect to face ethereal troops when you go up against the Dwarfs. He's coming with Rune of Speed, and Rune of Wrath and Ruin, of course, is unbreakable, and I believe, does he cause terror? I feel like he does. He does indeed. For the forces of the Crowfather, love the name, and it does certainly suit the Malagor pick. We have a couple of Ungor Raiders, a load of Ungor Spearheads dotted all the way along now. They're not going to do much damage. They're here to simply surround the enemy and try to bog them down in waves of enemies. More Ungor Raiders on the far flank. We do have a Bestigor Herds in the center. 4 units, in fact. It's a big, heavy rush build. 4 Bestigors, 3 Minotaurs, though it doesn't seem like they're great weapons. Probably the great weapons might have been a bit overkill, was what they were thinking. And up in the skies, we have Malagor, the Dark Omen, Pendulum, and Enfeebling Foe. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway. The Bestigors definitely want to close the gap as quickly as possible, and they will cleave through the enemy relatively effectively. But again, double Thunderers and the cannon is quite scary and can certainly be a big problem. Yeah, see, Logic knows us. I'm 94 watching and 45 likes, so we can do better. Likes for the duck god. Likes for the bread gods. Man, there's going to be some crazy duck-themed Zinch builds in the future for sure, because they're definitely the most duck-like faction. Beastmen doing a nice slow advance now, look to be trying to whip around the right-hand side a little bit more to really ensnare the Dwarvish forces. The Bestigors, though, taking a bit of a pounding on the approach. Likewise are the Minotaurs, and they really want to get to the battlefield as quickly as possible to stop this long-range pressure. Malagor as well with his Pendulums can do some nice work. I wonder if it's worth Pendulum Miners just... Oh, that'd be such a hard time. But if you can time it just before they throw their blasting charges to send them flying to the ground, and then it's too late when they get up to unleash the blasting charges on the front line, could be a real clutch play. I'm sure some of you high micro players might be able to test that out in the future and pull it off yourselves. Minotaurs have taken a bit of damage here, but only one casualty so far. Poor Bill is down in the ground, face in the mud, and not having a good day, and he's not going to get up again. Ungors try to bait out the blasting charge. Lovely little bit of micro here. Beautiful micro by the Beastmen player. Still takes about half HP damage, but it would have been a lot worse if he took the full volley of the blasting charge there. They're so nasty against those lightly armored infantry. Ungor raiders float around the right-hand side, as well as the Ungor spears, and in come the Bestigors and Minotaurs, looking to push through super aggressively right now. Look at these guys go charge! Hoping to do some of their roly-poly animations, but tusks lowered, slam into the miners, are going to break them as quickly as possible. Thunderer pressure, Slayer pressure, cannon pressure, all being poured in, though, to that melting pot of Minotaurs, which 2 units have been pushing on the same situation. It's really bad news for the Beastmen. Definitely want to spread them out as much as possible. Bestigors down on this right-hand side are struggling to deal with the might of Beligor. They're cleaving their way through the miners, but Felix is also a really solid melee combatant and can tear apart infantry pretty well. We see a big fat pendulum go down the line, which is going to help clear out the miners and maybe allow a big surround on these characters. But the Bestigors are simply spent to that point and aren't able to really capitalize on their enemy. Bestigors have surrounded the miners, looking to bring them down as quickly as possible. The Thunderer firebase with the cannons in the back, completely untouched so far, just pouring on the damage to the Minotaurs in general. Bestigors starting to add up the damage though, and Dramback Slayers and Enfeebling Fill them are getting shredded. 2 Ungor Raiders also being fired into them. Nice little bit of focus fire pouring on the shots. They're suffering really badly, all the Slayers at the moment. The Dwarf Warriors are pinning in the Ungor Spearheads. Minotaurs trying to wrap up and around and maybe shut down the Thunderers would be a play I would like to see. There's a nice big fat pocket opened up in the middle, and the Ungors going to be pouring through that gap, looking to jump on the Thunderers, who are currently dealing with the Bestigors relatively well. Giant Slayers pinning them in place, but the Ungor Raiders having a whale of a time today. All the Raiders are doing some nice damage, just slowly pitter-pattering down on top of the heads of the Dowie with that Ungor Raider pressure. Bestigors doing some decent work though, jumping them down and cleaving. Man, Bestigors look really awesome, but this color scheme of Malagor, they look so freaking badass. And they will easily be able to cleave through these giant Slayers with the support of the Ungor Raiders. So the majority of the Slayers are dealt with, but that range core is still so strong for the Dowie. Minotaurs are struggling as well. They really need to shut down the Thunderers as quickly as possible because they're causing them endless problems at the moment. And likewise, this Hero Core looking very strong. Malagor up to only 11 kills so far. He has been using some nice enfeebling foes, though, to slowly whittle down the enemy as well. Bestigors, 37 models, now really need to drive into the heart of the enemy, but they're suddenly starting to run out of steam, and it looks like the Dowie, once again, such strong Dowie players in Sons of the Mountain, seem to be coming to a little bit of a favoured moment of the battle. Now, Minotaurs are crushing the Ekron Miners here. They're also helping crush some of the Dwarf Warriors, getting some relatively decent kills, but with the backline still online, they will suffer every single time they charge. Ungor Raiders attempting their best to aid some support to them by raining shots down in, but the thick armor of the Dwarfs is rather hard to penetrate. The cannon shots coming in. Minotaurs and Bestigors trying their best. They are going to be able to break the Ekron Miners here and have to do the long march uphill into that central Dowie formation. Bestigors and Ungors continue to spill in. Ungor Raiders opening up shots into the Miners at the moment. Not a bad target. Miners only 80 armor. They might be able to break them before they can actually engage with the range core here and finish them off. Magol of the Dark Omen still just vibing, floating around. He doesn't really know what to do. He doesn't have that many good places to be. And the Thunderers roar as a big gun line comes in. And Malagor takes some pretty nasty damage. He should... Oh no, he's actually swooping in. Bomb dives in. Wings swooping either side of his body. And the Thunderers are starting to struggle a little bit there. But there's a load of Dwarf Warriors looking to surround the Dark Omen of the Beastmen people. A lot of the Raiders are still alive. The Bestigors not looking so juicy though. 42 models left here, 25 on the other unit. Minotaurs are once again going to be pushing it into the deep, but the mighty heroes led by Felix charging in, probably sent as an envoy from their Empire allies, decapitates a Bestigor with one fell swoop of his Rune Fang, and is now jumping in after the Minotaurs as well, alongside his newfound friends in Beligor and the Runesmith. You do pop a Rune of Speed, trying to catch the Bestigors and shut them down, and the Minotaurs, the Thunderers, do get jumped here, although it seems like it's again very close to yet another Dowie victory. The balance power massively in their favor. Ungor Raiders continue to pour shots in from all sides. We do still have, though, a lot of armored Dwarf Warriors, and the cannons once again again operational. Dwarvish artillery has done fantastic this stream, which is good to see, because often artillery kind of gets abused and you don't get to see it do too well. Dwarf Warriors beat back the Bestigor herds down on the low ground. Malagor is still fighting amongst the Thunderers, and he's going to try and get himself out of this sticky situation with a nice pendulum going down the line, doing some pretty damn good havoc. You can see many of the Dwarfs aren't going to be getting up again. Blood splattered all over the battlefield, with the ones who do have vengeance on their mind, lacing shots towards the Dark Omen, who's trying to bob and weave. He's serpentining in the skies like a mighty eagle waiting to swoop upon his prey, but that's a lot of bullets coming his way, and Dwarfs are known for their good accuracy. Malagor, though, very depth dodging there, managed to escape almost all the pressure, but the ground game has been won. It's been completely dominated there by the Dwarfs. All the Beastmen sent packing, running to try to save their own hides. Ungor Raiders, they can shoot for a while, but the Dwarf Warriors and Miners will easily be able to drive them away, and they can't shoot and run at the same time. Of course, they're no 360 unit. Ungors are now pursuing where possible, trying to shut down the units they can in the form of these Thunderers now, trying to protect themselves by shooting into the Dwarf Warriors, who are doing a really slow plod right now. They're knackered at this point. They're very tired. They're shaken. They're holding their shields above their heads and trying to get in on the action. Big cannon shot does give them a little bit of courage, maybe, to continue the pursuit, as they see many an Ungor die, but they're going to get dragged apart into two different directions. Now the Ungors are going to do some really nasty damage. Shields work well from the front, less so from the back, and many a dwarf started to go down here, being felled by crooked arrows and evil curses. This unit may go down, but I think their sacrifice should not be in vain. I believe the dwarves shall be victorious here. Dwarves actually might hold as they get into combat here. Their leadership gets a little bit of a buff. I love it. Come on, I'm emotionally invested in this unit of dwarf warriors now. Like, please hold on. And it looks like they will get to go home and say, hey lads, you know, we were there. We may have taken the punishment, but we ended victorious. Well played to both these lads, but it seems like Sons of the Mountain in the early stages starting to run away a little bit with the tournament with another juicy victory. Well played to both these players. Crowfire, put up a good fight. I love the build. Very, very rock and roll. I just don't think they were able to shut down that firing core, mainly due to the Slayer protection, and that meant that they couldn't really get into the juicy areas of this Dairy build and abuse them with the Minotaurs, because there's so much thunder and cannon pressure being poured upon them. 55, 72, and 14 kills for the Minotaurs. 430, 788 damage value really reflects their performance. Ungor Raiders in the mid to low hundreds, 682 and 692 being the standouts there. They had a good day. Vestigors, 600 value, 750, 400, and 658. None of them, unfortunately, paying for themselves. Likewise, the Ungors just got obliterated, as is often the way. I love the little bait. I love, like, moving in. Hey, miners, I'm here. And then running away. But the miners kind of, I guess they're trained to deal with this. Launch those large charges a little bit over the heads of the enemies, and it was able to still connect with them. The Ungors got eviscerated early on. Malagor coming in with only 585 value. As for the Dwarves, the Human Boy, he's definitely a Dwarf main now. If you ever see him playing Skaven, just tell him to play Dwarves, get his priorities straight. From now on, he is a Dowie main. A cannon, 2,700 damage value. It is disgusting. 83 kills, lovely play there. Thunderers, 1,000 damage value and 1,200 on the second unit. 349 value on the Giant Slayers isn't too great. 700 and 497 on the other Slayers. Really getting picked apart by the Ungors, unfortunately for them. Ekra Miners, 50 kills, 640 damage value, which is good before they got ripped apart by Minotaurs. Dwarf Warriors, really bad damage value, but they held the line, and that's what it's all about. Miners in the 300 and 400 range of value. Mr. Forini, Ironbrow, 4 kills, 225 value, but hey, I'm sure he did some good support spells. Only 120 value on Felix, and only 87 on Belagar. Weren't really able to get to grips with the enemy due to the fact there was no hero core to face. I'd like to see some Wargore chariots here, actually. I think double Wargore chariot underneath Malagor could have been really nasty against this build if you can avoid the Slayers. Like, double Wargore chariot can just run over so much of this stuff, but hey, that's something to test out another time. Well played to both these players, to the Mighty Human Boy and the Crowfather. Let's quickly update the scoreboard. That is going to be 4-1 so far to the Mighty Sons of the Mountain up against AIMA. And let's read the Dwarvish report on such a glorious battle. So, With high morale from having previously defeated Loki, Belligor, it says Belligor here. I guess is that like a joke because it's against Beastmen? But Belligor, as we're now going to call him, marches on. His next foe is Malagor, and with high spirits, he routs the Beastmen herds easily. Having defeated both waves of Chaos forces sent his way, the path is clear for him to march on the Ever-Chosen himself. He chooses to take a long route in attempting to flank Archaon from the east. So it looks like Human Boy has made it to the enemy general, and he will get a good chance to try to take him on in future, which I would love to see. So just need to check a quick message. Looks like we're all good. I have time for one more battle for this part 1 of this Clan War series. Then we will be moving on, of course, to part 2 at a later date. And up next, it is going to be, I believe, the Mighty Ungrim. Lots of dwarfs there, you're gonna love it. By Mr. Kench, which is a really cool name. I haven't met Mr. Kench before. Krakadrin up against Elfarian Shades once more. So Elfarian Shades was, I believe, the victor in the earlier game and got the victory for AIMA. And he's back with Avengers looking to push deeper into the Dowie force. Very excited to see how this one unfolds. What's up, Panther? How's it going, champ? You've made in time for the last game of the stream. There was a lot of games. There was, I believe, 17 games total. So we're doing 6 today, I guess, because I'm running out of time, unfortunately. Then we do all the rest in a bigger live stream when I've got a bit more time next week. But yes. Sorry for the dumb question. How many games total for the tourney? Yeah, that's not a dumb question, man. That's not a dumb question. I love Butcher Bird, but not this build. Well, it gets style points. Hey, it was pretty stylish, for sure. It goes very stylish. Kazakin, ha! Indeed. Dwarfs are, hashtag dwarfs are onions. I agree. There's layers to their builds. Many layers, indeed. Yeah, hope you guys are all doing good and enjoying the stream. Hope you guys are enjoying. I'm going to have a quick little drink here. And this is going to be the final game of the stream. But don't worry, guys. Part 2 will be coming next week. I'm also going to be doing a Warhammer free stream. Either Friday or Monday. I haven't decided. I need to set it up. Which will probably be a best of 5 stream. Because I'm also going to be dropping a load of videos and stuff over the next couple of days. So let's hop into this. Ungrim versus Taurox. Yeah, Taurox was victorious before. Ungrim should in theory be a nice counter to Taurox. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. Mr. Kench with Krakadrin up against Elfarian Shades and the Beastmen forces. Very excited to see how this one goes. And Ungrim, of course, comes in with his Slayer build, double Giant Slayer, as well as those Dragonback Slayers. We're on the Plains of the Dead. And there's certainly going to be many more dead here after the next 20 minutes or so when this battle is wrapped up. So, look at that color scheme. Oh, I love Krakadrin. They are by far my favorite Dowie. Though they don't get anything special, they get the color scheme, and that's the most important thing of all. Look how badass the Ironbreakers look. The Royal Red is so cool, and it's a defensive box formation coming from the Dwarfs, which we haven't seen that much of, believe it or not. We've seen a lot of push Dwarf builds, and honestly, that works really well, but nice layered box here. So in the front layer of this beautiful dwarvish onion, we have Longbeards and Dwarf Warriors dotted all the way around. Minus of blasting charges in the secondary battle line, backed up by some Ironbreakers. In the rather center of the onion, in its core, we have 2 Thunderers, and in the back, double Giant Slayers and Dragonback Slayers themselves, supporting 1 cannon. Leading the battle line is Ungrim Iron Fist. He looks across the battlefield and he laughs. Is this all you can summon, Taurox? And he waves his axe in an angry roar, awaiting the deaths of his opponents. In the back for the Beastmen, we have some Chaos Warhounds with poison in a vanguarded situation. Only the 1 unit though, so nothing too fancy. In the main battle line, it is a mixture of Ungor herds, as well as a couple units on Bestigors. Bestigors taken to the wings, trying to avoid being in the sight of the cannon, whip around the enemy and shut them down. We've seen some success already with this style of play. We have double Tuskor chariots as well. Relatively cheap for chariots, and chariots in general are so good against the Dowie. Double Ungor Raiders in that central pocket. We have a load of Harpies up in the skies. 4 units, in fact, to do some nice backline harass. We have Taurox the Brass Bull coming for that Scarf DLC. Fresh off his first victory. Looking to come in for that juicy second one. With Brace Shaman of Wild with Traitorkin and Brace Game riding dirty alongside him. So let's get this battle underway. Oh yeah. This is going to be awesome. Total War free stuff? Yes. Lots of Tier 3 stuff coming soon. Ungrim is a really underrated lord. He's got so much swagger, I love him. The problem with Ungrim, he probably would have shined after the changes to Grombrindle, and maybe being the most competitive Dowry lord, but Thoric Ironbrow is just too good to, ignore. Too good to ignore. I can't wait for you to cast my Everchicken versus Mazda game. Have I cast the Mazda versus Everchicken game? I'm not sure. There is going to be a battle dropping directly after this. Like, I'm dropping a video as soon as I finish this, which is featuring Dwarfs. But anyway, back to the battle. So I was checking out chat there. Beastmen doing a nice little surround. Patient play, which is definitely how you should play it. Just slowly advance the dwarves, getting nice surround on, and then attack them from all sides in one go. The Harpies flying high in the skies. Tuskar Chariots getting ready to rumble. Torx Brass Ball and the Brave Shaman taking a little bit of damage on approach. It probably the Brave Shaman being the main focus of attention, because Traderkin, though the dwarves have that lovely magic resistance, in a box like this, is still going to do some pretty solid damage to them. It's going to do some pretty solid damage. So the Ungors starting to pour on that fire. We do have the Chaos Warhounds diving in the back, trying to just feast upon the souls of the cannons. Now, they'll do okay damage to the Slayers, but Slayers are actually a decent answer to Hounds. You'd think Slayers, though low armor, might take a lot of damage, but they're such quick damage dealers anti-infantry, and Warhounds, though they're dogs, they do count as infantry models, so that bonus applies against them. Tuskar Chariot's going to start pushing through. The Giant Slayers wielding their axes, though, going to be coming in for vengeance, looking to prove their worth in the eyes of all the Dowie gods, and they do try to get in there. The Harpies seem to mess up their charge a little bit. Thunderers are getting shut down in the middle. Ungors start pouring through the gaps, really running down the Longbeards where possible. Tuskar Chariots are doing some decent damage to the Dwarf Warriors, and the Vestigals have arrived on the battlefield relatively untouched by enemy artillery, and that could be a big turning point in general as they cleave their way through the enemy. More Vestigals are wrapping all the way up and around here. The poor Brave Shaman does shatter as he was casting the spell. It does indeed go off. It wasn't overcast. The cannon's been doing real numbers today on the enemy characters. Trader King goes down, catching a lot of units, but again, that Dwarvish resilience to magic, that hatred of that magic, will mean that they can endure quite a lot more than most people. The Vestigals do manage to shatter the right-hand flank of the Dwarves, need to wrap up and around and once again push into the deep, because if this cannon's allowed to shoot, that Brave Shaman will die, but it looks like it already got shattered. The cannon's done such fantastic work for the Dwarves today, and actually I think my video coming out today is about Dwarvish cannons being so good. Ungrim Iron Fist versus Torx Brass Ball, the fight we all demand, we all need. The Slayers rush to the aid of their lord, but he needs no help. His slayed beasts 1,000 times bigger and more dangerous than Torx in his sleep. This is nothing but a pup to him. Brass Body has been popped, but Ungrim cares very little. The Axe of Dargo bites deep into flesh, carving its way through Torx, and look how quickly the mighty bull goes down. Everyone claims Torx is tanky. To Ungrim, he is nothing but paper mache. Thunderers do get jumped by Chaos Warhounds. The Thunderers doing some lovely crossfire into Torx, but the Warhounds did momentarily shut them down. But as the kind of initial charge clears, the Dwarves are in such a strong position on the high ground. Raiders continue to pour shots in from afar, but Ungrim laughs manically as the great bull retreats. Thunderers give him a few parting shots as well to add insult to injury. Ungrim then jumps on top of the Harpies, supporting the Dragonback Slayers, fighting amongst his own king. He stands head and shoulders above them in quality and stature, and the Harpies are going to be dropping in droves. One unit gets shattered, the other unit does commit to the fight here. Thunderers continue to find this nice central pocket. Ironbreakers are very healthy. On the left-hand side, Giant Slayers have been beaten down to just 2 models. Miners and Dwarf Warriors are also carving their way through Gore Herds, pushing their way. And look at this, Dwarfs send in at the Ungor Raiders, packing, continuing to hunt them down. The cannon, unfortunately, did get dealt with. It's still got 9 models left, but not really that many to actually jump on artillery pieces anymore. It seems like Torx Brass Ball was eventually shattered and forced off. No, he was actually... Dwarf Warriors forced off the Ungor Raiders. Ungor Raiders are all that really remains, and this is a game over, I'm afraid. We have some Gore Herds, we have some Vestigals left, even the Chariots roaming through simply isn't going to be enough. There's too many Slayers who can sit on top of Ungrim, and you can see that he's actually leading them into battle. With me, lads, let's run down the vermin and force them off the battle. A pretty solid victory once again for Sons of the Mountain. They have really taken this clan war by the scruff of the neck. But the beautiful thing about this kind of gigantic war that's going on between AIMA and Sons of the Mountain, AIMA are so not out this yet. If they dominate the other flank of the main battle line, they could push through and definitely have a good crack at the High King. Well played to Mr. Kench, as well as Elfar Shades. Elfar Shades getting a victory earlier on for AIMA, but unfortunately falling slightly short here up against the might of Ungrim, who did get 910 damage value. Doesn't seem like much, does it? But I guess he did all that damage onto Torok, so it was pretty good at the end of the day. Miners, 562 and 300 damage value. Dwarf Warriors not doing anything too crazy in the low hundreds damage value-wise. Likewise for the Longbeards, despite getting some impressive kills, 156, that only equates to 640 value because they were mainly used against the chaff to pin them in place. They did a good job though because the Thunderers and Cannons shot for a ridiculously long time. Giant Slayers, 750 value and 1,495. Dragonbacks getting 990. Ironbreakers, barely a scratch on them, 600 value today. The Thunderers got 780 damage and 900 damage value, 1,000 damage value on the Cannon. Cannons have been the MVPs for the Dwarfs and Sons of the Mountain all tournaments so far. Torque's Brass Ball, only 600 value. The Bray Shaman, 540. 600 on the Bestigors. Ungors did, not that good, which is expected though, in fairness, in this matchup. 400 value on the second unit. Tuskor Chats, 630 and 420 value on them. RPs not unfortunately doing it too much, neither did the Ungor Raiders though. Standout unit though, 55 kills and 750 value, certainly the unit which was punishing the Giant Slayers as much as possible. That was crazy. That was very crazy. So let's update the scoreboard once more. It is currently 5-1 to the Sons of the Mountain. We'll have to see if we can get a bit of a comeback coming on from AIMA. Still plenty of time for them to do so don't you worry just yet. And let's read out the Dowie battle review as well, or report from that battle. So, let's see where this one is. Let's find it. Okay. Oh, so Oxyotl, because he was in the second rank of the Dwarves, he hasn't had to fight yet. So Oxyotl, marching along the same path as Belegar, found his journey surprisingly peaceful. Slightly overconfident, he marches his legions straight north towards Archeon, so his gap's already been pushed through, which is nice for him. So we are going to see Oxyotl in the future. The battle report for this one, marching out from Krakadrin, Ungrim faces Taurox in battle, fearing nothing. Ungrim leads the charge into the spawn of chaos, wave after wave. Hordes of beastmen charge into the Slayers, but the Dowie stand firm. From sunrise, they fight until sunset, and at long last, every single beastman has either fallen or fled. I love this little bit of fluff added to the battles here, coming in from the Sons of the Mountains, guys. Really awesome stuff. What a massacre, yeah. Ungrim got matched up against Torx and Kolic, pretty much exactly what he'd want to be fighting. He did some lovely damage there. That was a rout for sure. Awesome stuff. So guys, unfortunately, that is the end of the stream because I have to be somewhere, or I need to be offline by 8. So we've got plenty more games to go. We've done 6 games so far out of, I believe, 15 games. So plenty more to come. We will be picking this up again next week in another live stream. I will be dropping a video directly after this, so make sure to go check that out if you want to see some more Dwarvish action. And I believe Logic may be streaming right now, so let's have a little look and we can go for a bit of a raid on him. I don't think he's quite up streaming yet, so let me find his Twitch and I'll link it. Oh, for some reason Discord's not working for me. If someone could find Logic's Twitch and post it, that would be great. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Let me very quickly post a link to my video as I drop it. For you guys who aren't done with the glorious Warhammer 2 action yet, it is a Warhammer 2 game. It is between, I believe, the Dwarfs and Chaos. It is a really fun game. So I'm going to post that live in literally 2 seconds. Boop. It is now public. And I'll get the link for you guys. Here we go. So, if you guys want to go watch some more Dwarvish action, simply click that link and you can go there. And now I'm going to get Logic's Twitch for you as well. If you want to see some more live streams, I believe Logic is starting to stream in about 10 minutes on Twitch. Roughly. I believe he's doing some Total War action. So let's quickly get his Twitch for you guys. If you want to see videos, go check my one out. In fact, you can probably go check that out before Logic streams. And then in that time afterwards, here is a link to Logic's Twitch, where he will be streaming today. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been awesome to chat with you guys once more. And I'll be seeing you guys in the not too distant future. I'll be seeing you. I'd really appreciate the support. I'm going to need it. Tomorrow, I will be playing on Turin's live stream tournament at 4 p.m. I'm up against Anticity, who I think it's safe to say is currently the scariest player that I've faced quite a few times. On the Warhammer 3 circuit mode of the players who have it. So it's I'm going to need the Duck Legions behind me to try and sneak a victory against him, and we'll see how it goes. That'll be at 4 p.m. I'll be dropping a video at 2 p.m. tomorrow, I believe. A Warhammer 3 video. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, hopefully you guys will be able to check that out in the future. Until next time, guys, peace, and as always, stay awesome.